All right, guys, happy Thursday to you. Well, Earth Day, so I guess everybody go out, raise their hands, celebrate the sun, because as the sun shines down on me, hopefully it rains money down on you. I'm your buddy Choppadong, and I am here to talk to you a little bit about DFS MLB. And I'm going to show you today who we should like, adore, and set apart from the rest of the pack in our MLB Optimizer today. This takes no longer than 5 minutes, and it revolves around our Trends tab. I'm a coach and contributor here at DFSArmy.com. I help people turn their games around, right the ship, plug leaks, whatever you want to call it, and become better DFS players. Down there in the comment or description area, you can find the coupon code CHOP, C-H-O-P, to trigger that 10% off discount. You can use the link DFSArmy.com, and also like and subscribe the video while you're down there. Spread me around social media if you like these types of videos, because once again, they're going to make somebody a better player. Why not you? Let's dive in, talk a little bit about the research station here at DFS Army today. There's a whole bunch of different tabs for hitters and pitchers and Fanduel and Draftkings and whatever, and that's great, and I'll show you that at the end, maybe for pitchers, and talk a little bit about K-score and where we might find a guy on today's slate. But we're dealing with a 5-game slate tonight, and all we need to do is go to this Trends tab and figure out who's hot. You can play this one of two ways. I mentioned it yesterday. You can play it as this guy's hot, please hold on one more day. Or you can play it, this guy's cold, he's due to regress because he's a stud. Either way you play it's fine with me. I play the please remain hot one more day game. It's the way I believe in that system. So I go to the Trends tab, and I'm looking at 7-day and 14-day sample sizes for WOBA and ISO. WOBA is weighted on base average. Simply stated, a double is worth more than a single, a home run is worth more than a double. The more you reach base and the more you do it with authority, the better your WOBA number is. 400 is an elite number. When we're dealing with short sample sizes, outliers exist. Guys get raging hot, and therefore their WOBAs are way over 400. In some cases, 540 for the ridiculous Mike Trout. Over a 30-day sample size, he's a 537. That's sick. Is that his career number? No, he's going to probably cool off down around the 400 mark at some point. And then we'll see his trends dying off, and we'll get off of him. But for right now, his 30-day number is a 537. His 2-week number is even better at a 540, and his 1-week number is even better at a 584. The dude's still going. You should be playing him like mad right now, and I'm sure most of you are, because after all, it's Mike Trout. But that's justification as to why. When we scroll over just a smidge and look at the ISO trends, ISO is just pure power. It's like slugging percentage. It's pure power. I don't give a crap what you do with the baseball as long as you launch it. So with the ISO numbers, we're looking for the guys that hit the ball out of the ballpark. If I use WOBA, a guy who theoretically is not making outs, and then I use ISO, a guy that's hitting for a bunch of power, I'm kind of double dipping the power because the WOBA number already has a power element in it. I'm doubling down on power. In fantasy baseball, chicks dig the long ball. Home runs are king. We're chasing home runs, singles and doubles, and it's all nice. But 23% of your fantasy point production for most hitters comes out of the home run. The other 25% comes out of singles or hits in general. And then the rest, like 6%, comes out of stolen bases. So when you hear guys out there talking about they need a stolen base floor, man, that dude don't know what he's talking about. He's not looking at the numbers. Okay? You're chasing home runs, and on the pitching side, you're chasing strikeouts. So how do we find these guys? First thing we do is we take down the teams in a little filter. This is a fully filterable, sortable, customizable tool. And you knock out all the dudes that ain't on tonight's slate, right? I've only checked the guys that are in tonight's slate. Once I'm down to those 5 games or 10 teams, now I can look at just tonight's slate. I can scroll up. Yeah, you can look at weather and projected versus confirmed lineups, blah blah blah, right versus left matchups. But I care about these numbers right now. I'm going to take that 14-day sample size, and I'm going to filter that baby off. Does not equal equals contains custom filter, it looks like. I don't know why, but whatever. So since it says greater than or equal to, I can go right there and I can cut it down to a 350 or higher. And I can take the Trends tab over here, and I can do the same thing. Custom filter, greater than or equal to, let's call it about 180. Here's what I'm looking for. I'm giving myself a little margin for error. I like the number 400 for WOBA. I like the number 200 for ISO. But I'm giving myself a little margin for error because what I really would like to see is these guys add up, these two numbers add up to about 600 or better. And I can't combine them unless I create my own spreadsheet, so I have to do this my way. And so when I look at the 350 and the 200, that's a 558. I like it. When I look at the 540 for Mike freaking Trout and a 432, it is a 979 freaking WOBISO if you want to combine those two terms. That's disgusting. That is disgusting. About the only one I can remember seeing higher than that was Bryce Harper. Over a 2-week period, Bryce Harper was over 1,000. Just ripping the cover off of everything you threw at him. That ball must have looked like a softball coming at him. So you can find, what I'm looking is a sliding scale here. I've got all of the stuff in the WOBA, and it can be a little bit less than that 400 mark as long as the ISO makes up for it. If the ISO is over 200, I can have a 350, and then I can have a 250, and it adds up to 600. Or I can have a 450 and a 150, and it adds up to 600. Now, this is the extra fancy methodology. Okay, if this is too deep for you, I get it, no problem, don't worry about it. We've got another system for our VIPs over in the Chop Talk room where we talked with a member last night who showed us winning $2,500, winning GPPs outright, and he spends no more than 5 minutes. No, McAfee, I don't want a piece of you. He spends no more than 5 minutes a day. He comes home, cracks a beer, runs his system, loads his lineups, and leaves. If you like a system like that takes all of the guesswork out of it, then you need to become a VIP, use that coupon code CHOP, and get in here and ask me about it, and I'll give you the video. But I ain't giving it to the public because that's proprietary shit. However, if you're looking for something where you want to control the system, let's control the situation a little bit, this is one way I do it. I combine WOBA and ISO. I'm looking for a number over 600. Now, really, anybody on this list is probably pretty good to go. There are very few that, once you've filtered out over 350 here and over 180 or so here, you're generally going to be in the ballpark. Over a 2-week sample size, you're going to be okay. So anybody on this list, but look, it's not a very big list. Anybody on this list gets a door in our Domination Station. I can come down here to the team numbers again, and I can sort ascending order, alphabetically organize them by team, and now I can go through, do the same thing in my Domination Station Optimizer, organize them by team, and I can say Bogarts, Verdugo, Devers, and Hernandez and Martinez get adores. 5 Boston guys are hitting the ball well right now. Look at their WOBAs, all over 400, and then Kike down here is at 360, and if Kike's got over a 200 ISO, he's golden, man. Now, is the guy going to have a good day today? I don't know. Probably. Maybe, maybe not. They had a shitty night last night. I had 3 of them in my lineups last night, and my lineups went, they were terrible. But you can't argue with the numbers, and the numbers say the guys are swinging the bat well. They're not going to swing the bat well every night, but this helps you narrow down the field of players. I'm not dealing with crap. I'm dealing with hot bats. All I got to do is find the right 8 or 9 hot bats in my lineup, and I'll be okay. I look down here at the Cubs. Baez, Bryant, Contreras. Baez was not on the list last night. Baez is on it today. Why? Hit a bomb last night. It boosted his ISO, boosted his WOBA. Boom, it puts him back on the list. Over a 14-day sample, though, it didn't do it on a 3-day sample, so it's going to take him a minute or 2 to fall off of that list, too. He should stay hot for a little while. Okay? These guys are going to be expensive. I get it. Don't sweat it too much in terms of the pricing and stuff because you're dealing with the hot bats. What you're doing is you're looking at these bats as they are ascending, as their numbers are ascending. Their price is still trailing them. It can't catch up. It's using like a last 5-day average. And if the guy stays hot, that number can't catch up. When the guy starts to drop back off, which he will, Mike Trout will come back down to earth. But when that happens, he will then be overpriced for his production and we'll get off of him because he'll fall off of this filtered list. If you're on this list, I give you an adore in the system. If you're not on this list, I leave you alone. I'm going to get a lot of those guys that don't have the adores on them, but I'm going to get more of the people that have an adore. An adore is just a 15% boost to your projections, and that is going to pull more of those hot bats into my lineups and give me a better chance at producing a hot lineup tonight. Okay? Let me show you really quickly when I'm talking about pitchers. Let's go over here to DraftKings and show you the pitching on the slate tonight. This isn't even the slate, all of the slate. I can't remember the teams that are on there. There's a couple of early games. I could, if I wanted to, use the filter and knock them off and only deal with the later games. In fact, let's go ahead and do that, show you how that works. Filter, unselect, unselect. Now I should be good. If those 6-10 games are not on the slate, New York and Cleveland, I think New York was on there. Maybe they aren't. If they aren't, then I got to knock it down. What was this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games. So I still got one too many. The 6-10 game has to go. Now I'm set. That's 5 games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games. Now I'm probably set with the right slate. I'd have to double check it, pay more attention, but I'm not in the middle of making a video when I'm double checking and paying attention. I slide over here to K-score in the chop shop, and I sort by descending order. I'm looking for people over 500. I've only got 2 selections available tonight, Weathers and Pivetta. And Weathers is probably on, he's only pitched 4 games. He's probably on a pretty small sample size. And Pivetta, and then maybe a little bit of Walker Buehler. These are the guys that I'd be looking at tonight. Automatically, it's not a great night for pitching on that main slate. So I might expand my player pool a little bit and use a mix and match. I like to use ownership reports in this case. I like to take, say, the top 4 or 5 owned pitchers, chalk them up, and let the eliminate the other guys out of my player pool, keep just those top 5 owned pitchers, and let the Domination Station throw them in there. I'm prioritizing stacks. Your bats win you tournaments. Your pitcher doesn't. He helps, but he doesn't. Your pitcher wins you cash games. Your bats win you tournaments. They have far more upside. They have a lot more upside and a lot more outlier performances. They're more volatile, so their bigs are bigger. Your pitcher has a floor. Your pitcher's great for cash games. Okay? So if you need help in determining those, you need to come inside and become a VIP. It's just that simple. But generally speaking, we're going to be searching for our stacks, our bats. We already saw from this Trends tab that we might be looking at Boston, Chicago, LA. These are the guys that have multiple bats. See, there are only 2 from Seattle, 2 from San Diego, 1 from the Mets, whatever. They're not running hot. LA's running hot as a group. Chicago's starting to run hot as a group. Boston's running hot as a group. These make for good stacks. I may look into my ownership reports today and my projected team numbers today and then look and see who has some upside, who has some leverage, who is over-owned compared to what they might produce, and who is under-owned compared to what they might produce. And if you are, like last night, the Cubs were under-owned last night compared to their production. They were the 2nd or 3rd highest projected offense on the slate based on fantasy point projections, and they were about the 8th owned offense. That tells me they are way too low owned for what they should do. And they did it. And they were in the winning lineups. These are the kinds of things this stuff will put you on. It'll take you down the right train track to lead to better scores, to lead to better lineups. And you can only find it at DFS Army, and you can only find it by talking to me or some of the other coaches inside. We all have our different methodologies. I'm going to show you mine right here in your face, right here. This is what I do on a daily basis. I have won the Nichols tournament before. I've won some of the bigger ones over on DraftKings before. It doesn't matter what tournament you're in, as long as you know what you're doing. It's just waiting your time and letting the good night where all the stars line up in your favor hit you. Last night, I had a lineup that had a ton of studs in it, 3 Boston, and it crapped out, didn't even score 100 points on FanDuel. It bricked off everywhere. Well, hey, if people like, Stanton and JD Martinez and Bogarts and Austin Meadows and, freaking Chris Bryant or whatever, all these hot hitters are going to have a crappy night, I can't help that. But come inside and I'll help you tonight. DFSArmy.com, everybody. Chop it on. Peace out, homies.